Hey, welcome back to the Big Rand Show. This is your weekly rundown. First off, I'd like to thank everybody who has actually tuned in to watch the weekly rundown over the last 10 weeks. Your support has been nice to have. It hasn't been a lot of you, but some of my subscribers, or maybe 10 or 15 of you, have been watching the episodes. And I thank each and every one of you that have tuned in every week to watch the weekly rundown. Let me know down below if you think I should continue this particular series or not, with a season 2 in the coming months or not. Let me know what you think. As well, if it doesn't get much support here, I may put it over. I may start doing a weekly show over on the Patreon page, or who knows, maybe I'll start doing a live broadcast of the weekly rundown. Maybe that would have more success. But anyways, to those of you that have actually been watching the show, thank you. And your continued support is much appreciated. Now, on to the show. Now, I made a story last week about Anthony Scaramucci. It was one of the things on the rundown last week that I thought was interesting, where Scaramucci had turned on Donald Trump. Even though he had left the post as communication director long ago with the Trump administration, he had shown his support to Donald Trump ever since. But now he has turned on Donald Trump. He's no longer a supporter of Donald Trump and actually thinks it's best for the country if Donald Trump is to lose in 2020. He actually claimed that by March of 2020, Donald Trump would step down anyway. Now, as I mentioned in that video, I don't think that's possibly going to happen. I don't think that's even a possibility at all that Donald Trump would ever step down from doing what he's doing. I think he likes the power of being president, and I don't see him just giving that up. But Scaramucci this week has announced that he is starting a super PAC. He said it's going to be the Committee to Dismantle Trump, but he plans to come up with something more clever than that as a name for his super PAC. He believes his super PAC can reach somewhere between 5 to 8% of Trump's base, and he believes that is a small but significant number that may possibly be able to dethrone Donald Trump in the 2020 election. Now, at the end of the day, I think the Mooch got all these ideas of grandeur, thinks he's much better than he is, a much hotter commodity than he thinks he is. And, he's just not what he thinks he is. He thinks he's just some awesome being that people are just going to bow to what he wants. And I just don't see it happening. He says he's going to throw his money in there. He's going to get other people to donate their money to it. And they're going to show the truth of what Donald Trump has been doing to the base of the Trump supporters and see if they can help dethrone Donald Trump. He hopes it'll be the undoing of Trump and that Trump will then lose the 2020 election. But like I said, with the Mooch and his ideas of grandeur, thinking he's bigger than he really is, I don't think it's going to have the desired effect. I believe he's going to, he'll run these ads, try to show the Trump supporters, but the Trump supporters aren't going to believe him. He's already been dismissed by the president, and his supporters are going to be like, well, you're just a disgruntled employee. So I don't think the Trump supporters are going to change their mind whatsoever. Now, may it change the mind of some independent voters that may be able to go one way or the other? Then sure, I'm sure that'll happen. But I don't believe it'll have any effect on the overall campaign for Donald Trump or his re-election bid in 2020. Speaking of Donald Trump and the 2020 election, Mark Sanford, you may remember him as kind of the disgraced governor of South Carolina, who ended up leaving the country apparently at one point to go have a sexual affair with a lady, I believe it was down in Argentina, on the taxpayer dime, where he kind of ended up resigning in disgrace, and then made a comeback after an apology tour and around the state and telling everybody he was sorry for what he did. But he says he is going to possibly do a primary of Donald Trump. It's kind of unheard of. You don't really hear of a sitting president being primaried by his own party. During the primaries, are usually incumbents left alone. But a lot of people in the Republican Party are sick and tired of Donald Trump and his annex, and they can't do it anymore. So we'll see what happens here. On to the next story. In your next story, we'll talk about Ronda Rousey. Now, we know Ronda Rousey's a tough woman. She was a star of MMA for a good while. She joined the WWE. She's done some acting. But I never realized just how tough of a person Ronda Rousey really is. Until the news came that she got injured on the set of Fox's TV show 911. Apparently, while she was filming, a boat door slammed onto her hand somehow or another and crushed her hand a bit. And she thought she just had like a dislocated hand or, maybe a broken bone or something. But she finished the take before even checking what her hand looked like. It shows you just how tough she is. But she said on Instagram that the word was out that she had nearly lost her finger. She showed a picture of it on her Instagram. I'll try to link to either her Instagram account or to the article down below if you want to see the picture. If you're squeamish at all or if you're easily triggered, do not, and I repeat, do not look at that picture because it is rather disgusting looking. Now, luckily for her, even though she almost severed it completely off, the doctors were able to reattach the bone and the tendons with a plate and screws. And by 3 days afterwards, she was back to having 50% motion in the finger. So for her sake, I hope this doesn't have any future ramifications. I hope she's able to continue doing what she loves to do. And I hope her finger heals. But I couldn't believe that she was able to finish a take after I saw that picture. But it takes there's some tough people out there. There's tough men, there's tough women, and she just takes the cake if you ask me. She ranks right up there with a Ronnie Lott from the old 49ers who had to deal with a broken finger before he could get back into a game. You can look that story up yourself. Anyhow, on to the next story. Now, in your next story, it's really kind of a foodie kind of thing. Over the last week, there's been a big fury going on between Chick-fil-A and Popeyes. I think it's kind of hilarious that Popeyes basically brings back their spicy chicken sandwich, and all of a sudden there's this Twitter war between Popeyes and Chick-fil-A over who has the best chicken sandwich. Now, as a fan of both restaurants, and I'm really torn because Chick-fil-A has a great chicken sandwich. They have one of the best chicken sandwiches I've ever had. And Popeyes, on the other hand, though, they have a spicy chicken sandwich, which I prefer over a non-spicy chicken sandwich. But I'm really torn because I love both chicken sandwiches. I couldn't give you an explanation of which one I liked better because they both have their good points. Every time I go to a Chick-fil-A, my sandwich comes out the same. It tastes the same every time. When I've had the chicken sandwich from Popeyes, whenever I've had a chicken sandwich from Popeyes, it's always come out the same. Delicious. Now the question is, which is better? I really don't know. Maybe I can do a food review one day next month. Maybe I'll go grab the chicken sandwich from Popeyes, go grab a chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A, and we'll see what's happening. We'll see which one is better. But my thought is they're both delicious. Why fight over it? But anyhow, I want to know what my viewers think. Down below, let me think. Which one has the better sandwich? Do you prefer the Popeyes chicken sandwich or do you prefer the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich? Or is there another fast food restaurant that you prefer their chicken sandwich over both of them? Because apparently Wendy's thinks Popeyes and Chick-fil-A are asking or are fighting about second place. If you ask me, Wendy's isn't even in the list. Their chicken sandwiches aren't nearly as good in my opinion. But I want to know what y'all think. Let me know down below. Do you think that Popeyes has the best chicken sandwich? Do you believe Chick-fil-A has the best chicken sandwich? Or are you one of those people that find Wendy's or another brand a better chicken sandwich? Let me know what you think down below. Last but not least, a major story, a major development in the world of fighting cancer. Now, cancer is a terrible disease. It's been killing lots of people. And this is a treatment to help one particular kind of cancer. It's a new treatment idea involving cannabis and pancreatic cancer. Now, they've been doing this study for a while, and some researchers at the Harvard Institute for Cancer, let me see what the name of it is here, the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. They published a story in the Frontiers of Oncology magazine journal on July 23rd, and they revealed that a chemical that they have found in cannabis has demonstrated the ability to not only fight cancer within the pancreas or around the pancreas, but also the cancer as it has spread throughout the body. It is able to actually fight cancer, pancreatic cancer that has spread to other parts of the body. If you ask me, that is just amazing that they have found this one little thing. They call them flavonoids or whatever. Something that was discovered back in 1986 by a London researcher, and they have found that if you extract this enough quantity of this stuff, you can actually fight pancreatic cancer and possibly cure it. Now, the thing is, they actually ended up giving themselves more questions to answer after they did this research, because that's when they found out by doing the research that it also could fight cancers in other parts of the body as they have spread from the pancreas out. And so they're going to have to do some more research on that, and they expect to have that research completed by the end of 2020. Now, as of right now, this is the first study of its kind that's really come out to show this, for these flavonoids in the cannabis being a good way to fight cancer, at least here in the United States. And so it needs to be peer reviewed. You're going to have some other people confirm that this study is legit. But hopefully, if they're able to get this to work, hopefully by the end of 2020, they can start human trials. If they can, replicate the research, and it looks to be a good idea. Now, here's the thing: by 2020, pancreatic cancer is expected to be the second most leading cause of death in the United States. At least cancer-related deaths. And it doesn't have much of a good survival rate. It says a 1-year survival rate after a diagnosis with pancreatic cancer is 20%. And by 5 years out, survival rate is less than 8%. So this could be a marvelous thing for those people that have been, in their families, that have been diagnosed with this terrible illness. As we all know, cancer sucks. We've lost people like John McCain to cancer, and a number of other celebrities, and I'm sure thousands and thousands of Americans every year die because of cancer. So if you can, give to the cancer research organizations, and the American Cancer organizations and things like that, because they really need the help, and we really need to find a way to fight cancer, and this is one of them. If cannabis has any ability to help with inflammation, or to help with people be able to feel better if they have cancer, or if it's able to even fight their cancer directly, I say it should be legal nationwide for people to use. I'm sick and tired of the prohibition on cannabis, especially when studies like this come out that show it can be used for medical purposes. There is no reason for it to be a Schedule I narcotic. It has medical benefits. Studies have shown that from around the globe. And now we have a study right here in America that shows that it can happen, that it can be helpful, that it can actually fight cancer. Could you imagine the cancers we could cure if we can break it down to its component parts. People say, well, maybe cancer is God's will. I believe God gave us the ability to cure most diseases. I believe it's found in the things that He provided on this earth if you're a religious person. And that's just my belief. I'm not the most religious person in the world, but I believe that if we have a problem here on earth, if God is up there, I believe He provided the answer down here on earth. I believe there is a plant or a substance that God put on the face of this planet to cure these diseases. And in this case, I believe cannabis is one of them. At least from a medical standpoint, it needs to be researched. It needs to be allowed to be researched. It needs to be removed from the category, category 1 narcotic or Schedule 1 narcotic list. And it needs to be allowed to be researched easier and more plentiful. And it needs to be able to be done anywhere across the country. Doctors need to be able to prescribe this medication to people for their pancreatic cancer, for other cancers if we can find that it helps with that. You got studies from across the globe that show that it actually helps cancer patients. It helps people fight cancer. And now you've got a study right here in the United States showing that it can fight pancreatic cancer. So the researchers on this program, I commend you for your work. Please keep it up. I hope it's able to be replicated, and I hope it's able to be peer reviewed. And hopefully we will get to a point where you can actually bring this to the marketplace to actually help Americans with cancer. And I hope that the people that end up making this medication, if it ends up working in people, I hope that you don't gouge people for prices. Because the one thing people don't need when they're fighting cancer is having to worry if they're going to be able to pay for their treatment. But anyways, I think it's awesome. We need to do something. Joe Biden lost his son to cancer. We lost John McCain to cancer. John McCain was a great man. We lost him. And we lost a lot of movie stars, actors, actresses to things like cancer. We've lost people to pancreatic cancer. And it's not something that's easy for the families. It's definitely not easy for the person dying. Because I have heard that pancreatic cancer is very hard. It's very painful. And it's hard to fight. So if this is a way to cure pancreatic cancer, or at least increase survivability rates, we need to look into it. And we need to make sure that scientists and the medical community are able to research cannabis in a much better way, in a much freer way. Because we need the treatments that cannabis could possibly bring. From cancer to anxiety and depression to just all around inflammation in the body. If cannabis has anti-inflammatory properties and abilities, it could help people with lupus and other autoimmune diseases to cut down on some of the inflammation caused. But really, we need to research this. We really need to put a lot of time and effort into it. And we need to show the naysayers out there that it's not a Schedule 1 narcotic, that it has no business being there. Because obviously, laying out the facts of why there's such a prohibition against it doesn't work. But in the prohibition, let science have the ability to study the plant. Let's find ways to bring this plant about to where it can actually be a cure for cancer to people without people having to go to jail for it. I read a story about a year ago. I don't know if I did the story here on the channel or not. But I read a story about a 90-some-odd-year-old man who went to jail because his 80-something-year-old wife had cancer. And the only thing that was helping her through was a little bit of cannabis. And he went to jail because he bought the cannabis. Another man went to jail because his daughter was having seizures. And he went to jail because he bought cannabis that was actually helping his child. Her seizures would stop completely when she was medicated. And we're not talking doses to get people high. We're talking doses that ease pain. Doses that just that are small enough to help without causing a high. We're talking medical here. We're not talking about recreationally. Even though I believe that should be legal as well, because I believe adults should be able to make their own choices in life. But medically, we should not be delaying it. We can debate the merits of recreationally legal marijuana and not. We can do that. We can have that discussion. But on the medical side of things, let's not have that debate. Let's just get the research done, and let's start saving lives. It's a tragic thing that so many thousands of Americans have to die of cancer every year because they can't get treatment that's affordable, or there just aren't treatments for their cancer. Because a lot of times there's not a lot of treatment. Your stage, say you're stage 4 pancreatic cancer. What are they going to do? They're going to try to pump you full of radiation. The radiation could likely kill you just as much as the disease could. You're going to be in massive amounts of pain. And they may only be able to make you comfortable. So why not? Why not get these flavonoids out of the cannabis plant and find out if they can in fact help fight pancreatic cancer and help increase the survivability rates of such a terrible disease? It makes me sick how we do things in this country sometimes. But if I can leave you with one thing at the end of the season of the weekly rundown, is if you see people in need, go out there and help. If you can donate money to help, do. If you can go out and physically help people, you should. And if you can't help people, or you don't agree with what they believe in or how they're living, if you can't help them, don't hurt them. And that's my request to every one of my viewers. If you can't help, at least don't hurt. We got too many people in this country that are suffering from depression, anxiety, other suicidal thoughts, and all sorts of problems, emotional issues and mental issues. And if we could just be nice to one another, if we could just be kind to one another, I really believe in my heart of hearts that we can make this country a better place. We can make the world a better place. So I implore you, if you can help your fellow Americans, please do. But if you can't help, at least don't hurt them. That's all I ask. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the weekly rundown from the Big Ranch Show. I hope there's another season of it. Let me know down below whether or not you made it this far, for one, if you made it to the end of the show. And two, let me know if you think the Big Ranch Show should bring back the weekly rundown and if you enjoyed it. And give me some pointers down below as well on how you think I could improve it, from video editing to everything else. And I'm going to talk with a friend of mine on video editing and try to make another season of this look better than it does currently. Anyhow, this has been the Big Ranch Show. This has been your weekly rundown. I'll see you down the road.